Chapter 44. Stop this outrageous purge. The next morning, as I gulped down my oatmeal, Mother kept her promise and called Liz's house. Her mother answered. "Mrs. Fullerton," said Mother, "this is Mrs. Nesbit, Marley's mother." Liz's mother talked for a long time. The oatmeal sat like a lump in my stomach as I waited to see what she would say. I know, Mother said finally. We've forbidden Marley from meeting Liz in person too, but to deny them all contact seems to be inviting rebellion, don't you think? Mrs. Fullerton talked for a moment longer. Then finally Mother handed me the phone. "You have 5 minutes." "Hi," said Liz when I put the phone to my ear. "Hi. Are you okay?" "Yeah. Daddy and Pastor George sat up all night on the porch, but nothing happened. They got a schedule all worked out for the rest of the month." "Sounds scary," I said. "Yeah," said Liz. "How are you doing?" "Daddy was going to send me to Pine Bluff to live with Judy, but Mother and I convinced him not to. I can't see you anymore, though." "Yeah, me neither. Mama made me swear, and if I disobey, I have to go live with Aunt Ida and her 15 cats in Atlanta." 15? A 3x3 magic square adds up to 15 no matter which way you look, up, down, or diagonal. And no matter which way I looked at our situation, I could come to only one conclusion. "Are we going to be able to stay friends?" I asked. "I mean, if we never get to see each other?" "We can talk on the phone," Liz said. "We didn't see each other much anyway." And I remembered that while a traditional magic square always added up to 15, if you use a number twice or leave one out, you can make a square that adds up to something else. You can even make a multiplication square or a square with letters. It might not look like a regular friendship, but maybe we could find some ways to be friends. "It won't be forever," said Liz. "Maybe someday things will change and we'll be able to meet at the zoo again." "Sure," I said. "Someday I'll see you by the lions." Things had been awkward at school since Sally's party. I'd thought little Jimmy had been on the verge of asking me to the movies. Not that I could go since I was grounded, but he hadn't said a word about it. I'd thought Sally was going to open up, start really talking to me, but she didn't either. After the crazy night the day before, I was ready for a nice quiet lunch full of numbers, variables, quadratic equations, and not much else. But Mr. Harding was out sick, and on my way to the cafeteria, JT cornered me in the hall. "Why'd you call the police?" he demanded, holding up an arm blocking my way. I ducked under his arm and continued walking. "Marley!" If he sounded angry, I'd have just kept going. But he sounded kind of scared. "Red thinks I did it." "Why?" "I didn't want to take the stuff. We got in a big argument about it after you left." "Not my problem," I said. "Besides, I didn't call the police. That was my father, and I'm glad he did. Now it's over." I started to walk off again, but JT gripped my arm. "But that's just the problem," said JT. "It isn't over. My father let the police search the whole house, but they didn't find anything. Red had stashed it in the shed, but I guess he moved it because when the police looked there, it was gone." My fingers and toes suddenly went cold. Daddy had been on the phone with Sergeant Pike the night before, and he didn't say anything when he hung up. I'd assumed that meant everything was okay. "Red still has the dynamite?" JT nodded. "At Sally's party, the things you said? I did like Liz before I knew, and while I don't want to go to school with Negroes, I don't want anyone to get hurt." I didn't want that either. "I shouldn't have followed you into the woods," JT said, "but it was Red's idea." "JT," I said gently, "you're 13. Your brother is not an excuse. It's time you started thinking for yourself." I strolled off again. I think I looked all confident, like I was sure it would work out, but like I didn't care. But that wasn't true. It was my fault. If I had stayed away from Liz, I didn't go to lunch. I might have looked like I thought everything was okay, but I really went to the bathroom and cried. When I got home from school that afternoon, both of my parents were sitting in the living room with Dr. Agar and Miss Winthrop. Mother was still reporting to her empty classroom when she wasn't subbing, and Daddy had been let go for the next year, but he still had to finish out this one. I glanced at my watch. "What's going on?" I asked. It was only 3:30 p.m. "We came home early. Daddy said. Dr. Agar is organizing a group called Stop. Stop this outrageous purge, Mother explained. We're going to circulate a petition asking for special education to recall the board members who voted for the teacher purge, Dr. Agar explained. I must have given him a look like I didn't understand, which I didn't, because Daddy said, we're going to try to get the 3 school board members who fired the teachers removed. Why? I asked. If we can get 3 more moderate school board members elected, they can join forces with the 3 who walked out. Then instead of everything being deadlocked, we can move forward on reopening the schools. I thought the governor closed the schools, I said. The governor got legislators to pass laws closing the schools, but a new school board, Mother said, might make a difference. They're the ones who set the start dates for the schools, and I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen my parents like this, working together on a project, enthusiastic like Judy about Pine Bluff before Robert Lawrence dumped her. It was kind of nice. In any case, this sounded like the best chance we'd had in ages. So what can I do? I asked. Stop will be working with the WEC, Miss Winthrop explained. We need to gather 6,300 names, Dr. Agar said. That's 15% of the registered voters. If we get all the names, we'll get our special election. 6,300 names, I said. That's kind of a lot. How are we going to? We're organizing a petition drive at the War Memorial Stadium this Sunday. People will be able to just drive up, sign the petition, and go on their way. The thing is, I'm sure the segregationists are doing the same thing, said Miss Winthrop, trying to remove the school board members we want to keep. This was so confusing. I was trying to remember everything I'd learned in history about elections and voting. If we could do this, Judy could come home. Someday Liz and I might be able to go to the same school. Betty Jean came in then, serving cake and coffee. Seeing her gave me an idea. I followed her back to the kitchen. Betty Jean, I asked, are you registered to vote? Of course I am, she said. I grabbed her wrist and dragged her back into the living room, where I made Dr. Agar explain everything. Betty Jean listened quietly as he talked, till finally she said, I think I know a couple of people who might be willing to sign a petition like that. If you don't mind accepting help from colored folks, that is. Right now, said Dr. Agar, we're going to need every name we can get. I called Liz again that evening. She'd already heard about the petition drive and how Betty Jean and Pastor George were organizing the colored folks. Our youth group is helping too. On Sunday, we're going door to door. Great, I said. Now I have something else to tell you. I quickly repeated what JT had told me. Call the police again, said Liz. And tell them what? Red has dynamite? I already told them that. Liz said nothing. Who's on the schedule for tonight? I asked. Pastor George, she said. Are you scared? I asked. Yes, whispered Liz. I am.